welcome back. It is I, Adriana of Adriana's Paper Crafts. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now, today's video is probably going to get a little long. However, it's something you gotta do, okay? It's something we all have to do. Today's video is going to be discussing how to start your business in 5 steps. Now, if you've already started your business, you've already got it going, you've been making sales, that is a-okay. I still recommend you watch this video because I'm going to be discussing how to make it a little more legal, a little more serious, and it is something that honestly every one of us just has to get through. So if at any point in time you get a little overwhelmed, no worries, just pause the video, save it so you can come back to it, but I promise you the things I discuss in today's video are things you absolutely need to know if you want your business to be serious. All right, let's get into it. Now, before we even get started, let me just throw this out there, okay? These 5 steps that I'm going to go over, they are important. I put it off for a very long time, for years in fact, making my business more legal, more serious, because who wants to think about all of that stuff? You don't, right? But I promise you, you have to. Now, I don't know about you, but I have worked so hard to get to where I am with my business. I've worked so hard to make it what it is. And I'm not going to let anybody take it away from me. And if your business right now, or if you're hoping to start a business and you're going about it the wrong way and you're not doing everything the legal way that you should, eventually somebody can come around and take it from you. And I'm not going to let that happen. Now, the 5 steps I'm going to discuss are the 5 steps that really any small business needs, but just real quick, want to note that these things might depend on the state and the city that you live in. I happen to live in Texas, so these are the rules that apply to me and most states, but again, depending on the state you live in, you'll need to check in with your state's website or your city or your county's website just to, again, really double check to see if it is required for you. All right, now let's go. Number 1, decide on your business structure. Now, a business structure is technically just the legal entity that your business is. Now, there's a couple of different ones, and I'm going to break it down kind of quickly as to what those different entities are. The first one and the most common one is a sole proprietorship. Now, if you own your business entirely by yourself, you are the only one that has anything to do with your business. There's no one else behind the scenes. You don't have employees. It's literally just you making stuff and selling it. Then you're a sole proprietor. That's what I am. Now, setting up your small business as a sole proprietorship is the easiest and the most simplest route. You don't really have to do anything. You just say, I'm a business. And in some states, you don't have to fill anything out. For example, here in Texas, as a sole proprietor, I just exist. I don't have to file anything to be a sole proprietor. I just start selling and I start making money. But the downside to being a sole proprietor is that, again, the business is you. You are the business. There's no separation between the two. So let's say I were to get sued, I would be the one getting sued, not my business. That means that people could technically go after my regular money. And if my business were to somehow go into debt, that debt would be my debt. It would be under my name. My personal credit score would go down. But again, you don't have to file anything. You can get started today. It's a pretty good way to go. Now, business structure number 2 is a partnership. It is what it sounds like. It is a partnership between 2 or more people. It's a little bit like a sole proprietorship where each person within the partnership is equal. You are still liable for things individually, together. But yeah, if you wanted to basically own your business with your spouse, with a friend, whoever it may be, then you can't be a sole proprietor. You would have to be a partnership. Now, of course, with a partnership, you've got somebody else to help you take the reins on your business. However, one of the cons to a partnership would be that the tax portion of it all gets a little complicated, so just keep that in mind for the future. Number 3 is an LLC. Yep, this is the one that everybody asks about, everybody's talking about it. What is it? Well, LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. So it's really just how it sounds. You would have less liability than you would if you were a sole proprietor. Now, the thing with an LLC is that it's a bit of a hybrid structure. Now, the reason I say that is because the way that it's built really depends on what all you choose to do with your business and how you choose to run it. So you can kind of a little bit pick and choose between the characteristics that you like from a sole proprietorship, from a partnership, from a corporation. You know, it kind of, you can get a little bit of the good stuff from everything, but you might also get a little bit of the bad stuff from everything. Now, the reason LLCs are so popular is because it really does separate you more from your business. So at this point, there is you and there is your business. And let's say your business, you make balloon decorations, so you're going out and you're setting up balloons at event halls. Maybe you rent an event hall. Maybe you create custom snacks, custom treats, cakes, anything where you're more involved with the public. Now, let's say at one of those events or whatever, somebody gets hurt, they get sick from whatever they ate that you made, something like that. And let's say they try to sue you. Well, because your business and yourself are two different entities now, they could sue your business, and heck, they could even possibly win and they could take your business money, but they won't be able to affect you. Your personal income and your personal accounts and all of that, that stays safe. And that's why an LLC is a limited liability company, because at this point, your liability is limited. It's not as big as it would be with a sole proprietorship. But again, going back, a sole proprietorship is best for those who don't really work with the public. I myself work from home. I do not have an office where somebody might come in and slip and fall and break their backs. So again, if you are going to be interacting more and more with the public, if you have a partner, if you have employees that you want to work with you, then an LLC would be best for you. And again, those are all the pros, but some of the cons with an LLC is that it is a little more complicated to get started. There's a lot more forms that have to be filed. There are fees that have to be paid. And some of those forms and fees aren't just a one-time thing. You have to keep paying or keep refiling in order to maintain your status as an LLC business. So again, that's just something to keep in mind. Quick note. Right now, my business is a sole proprietorship because it's just what works for me in this moment. However, you can change that at any moment, which means that eventually, if I want to, I can switch my business from a sole proprietorship to an LLC. In fact, that is my plan. I don't have a specific date when I do that, but eventually I do want to go that route. It's just not for me right now where I am in this moment though. Same with an LLC. If you ever want to undo it and go back, you can. You would just stop maintaining your LLC by not paying those fees and not filing those forms. And one of the last but not least type of business structures is a corporation. Now, whenever I say corporation, I want you to think of Walmart, Amazon. Because of that, I'm not going to go too deeply into it. With a corporation, it's kind of like if you're trying to build an empire. And now hold on, I'm sure some of you were just like, well, I am. Trust me, I get it. But it is a little different. Tell me why when I think of corporation, I literally think of Batman. And I'm like, Bruce Wayne is sitting at the top of this building. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of strings that come attached to having a corporation. You have to have meetings and shareholders and yada, yada, yada. For us small business peeps, we don't really have to worry about becoming a corporation. So that is literally step number one. Decide which business structure you want for your business. Let's move on to step number two. Make it official by registering your business name. Now, before we get a little too ahead of ourselves, just know that it's not actually required if you are running your business as your own name. For example, because I'm a sole proprietor and all of the documents, forms, any kind of legal things that I have to do, I put it under my own name because my business is me. My account's under my name. So I don't have to register my business name. However, again, if you are trying to put a little bit of separation between you and your business, then go ahead and register your name. All you do is go to your county's website and it'll tell you how it is that they specifically want you to go about doing that. And honestly, while you're at it, I would suggest to go onto the US Patent and Trademark website and see if your business name is available to be trademarked. Because why not? If you trademark your business name, then nobody else can use it. However, by doing this, you might also find out that somebody has already trademarked your business name, and maybe now is a good time to switch it to something else. Let's move on to step number 3. Number 3, this is also another one that is discussed a lot. Request an EIN number if it's required in your state. An EIN number stands for Employer Identification Number. This EIN number is the unique number that identifies you to the IRS, similar to your Social Security number whenever you pay your income tax. It is how your business would pay for its taxes. Now, an EIN number is free, so that's a good thing if you want to get it. But the reason I first said to get it if it's required is because it's not actually always required. The only time it's going to be absolutely required is if you operate your business as a partnership or a corporation. So for those of you who want to have an LLC, this is for you. The reason for that is because most LLCs do often have a partner or employees. And so for that, you would have to pay your taxes a little bit differently. You are having to pay employees, which means you need an employer identification number. So if you're paying employees, you've got payroll or anything like that, or if you're filing taxes on behalf of your business under your business name, then yes, you would need an EIN number. And again, that's free by going to the IRS website. And then if you're like me, you could just use your Social Security number in place of an EIN. So any documents that you're filling out, you're just going to be using your Social Security number, no biggie. Speaking of no biggies, except the opposite, because this is a biggie, step number 4, apply for the permits and licenses required in your state. Now, I have gotten some messages in the past of people asking me, hey, I live here, what permits do I need, licenses, yada, yada, yada. First of all, I really only know about my state and for my specific little field. So you will need to look it up. And it's honestly easily done by usually going to your state website or by Googling it, all right? However, the permits and licenses that are most likely going to be needed by people in our little world are going to be things like a sales and use tax permit. Now, what is that? A sales and use tax permit is required if you sell anything to anyone or if you are renting or leasing anything to anyone. So, since most of us do sell things to people, and some of you are renting out event halls and things like that, this is something that you have to absolutely get from your state. So not only does this permit actually permit you to sell things, but it also requires you to pay sales tax on all of the income that you've been making from selling things to people. Now, depending on your state, the sale of digital goods, meaning printables, that may or may not fall under something that you need to collect sales tax from, but most likely it is. So if you sell printables, you literally never ship anything out, doesn't matter. You're still making money from selling something, and so your state is going to require you to cover the taxes on that item. So if you haven't been charging taxes and or collecting those taxes, it's going to come out of what you perceive to be your income. But really, that sales tax has to come from somewhere. So once you actually get your sales tax permit, which you can put in for on your state's website or your state's comptroller website, they will explain to you, usually in the actual permit itself or on their website, whenever you create your account, They will explain to you how often you have to pay your sales tax. Now, the whole tax issue is a really big issue. All the tax issues that come with owning a small business is a whole other can of worms. So keep in mind that I will be creating a different video to discuss more on how to pay all these fees or taxes, because again, like I said, it's a lot and I don't want to overwhelm you too much. However, watch out for that video if you are legitimately planning to make your business more legal and serious, all right? But for now, let's move on to step number 5. Get your finances in order. I don't want to have to yell at you, but I'm sorry, I had to do it, okay? As soon as it's possible, you have to absolutely make yourself a separate bank account just for your business. No, it does not have to be some fancy schmancy, legit business account from a bank. The reason I say that is because if you actually Google it, you'll see that, let's say Bank of America, for example, a regular checking account might cost you $5 a month. But if you were to ask for a business account with them, all of a sudden they're charging you an arm and a leg, and for what? It honestly doesn't make any sense, and I'm not about to fall for those tricks. So really, all you have to do is just open up a separate checking account. Doesn't matter with who, where, what, just make it separate from where all of your other money is at, all right? That way, you can start easily tracking your business income and your expenses. Do you have anything that is regularly coming out of your account to pay for your business? Maybe you have it set up so that every 4 weeks you're being sent a new thing of paper from Amazon. Set it to that bank account so it'll automatically, the expense will come out of that business account. Every time you make money, whether it be from PayPal, from your website, from whatever, have it go to this business account. That way it is all easily trackable from there, all right? And then besides that, I also need you to start bookkeeping, okay? This is serious, you guys. Bookkeeping, all right? The reason for that is that you'll be able to, again, better track your income and expenses. But what I love about record keeping apps are that they track your net profit. All right, so it's doing all the math for you. All you have to do is log on and you can say, wow, I've made this much already this year? That's crazy. So the one that I happen to use is QuickBooks, and I use the self-employed version. They have different kinds, and that's the one that I use. The reason for that is that it even tracks how much you'll owe in taxes. I mean, isn't that amazing? Besides keeping track of it, it can actually help you pay for it directly through their website. I mean, honestly, it's a godsend. Yes, it's probably anywhere from $10 to $20 a month, but it is something that you won't have to worry about anymore. Instead of you keeping track on Excel or Google Sheets, it is something that will automatically be tracked for you. All you'll have to do is link your new business account to this app, and it'll start tracking things for you. Now, if you're not really good with the websites or the apps, then I would recommend you hiring an accountant or a bookkeeper. That way they can start tracking it for you. But I have to be honest with you. I have been there when I didn't have this record keeping app. I didn't have a separate bank account. This is way in the beginning, and it was bad, all right? It was bad because these are the days that I truly thought I was making a profit. But when I sat down and I really did all the math, I wasn't making anything. Heck, I was either barely breaking even or I was losing money. If you plan to make this be real, really fight for this to be your main source of income, you've got to start taking it more seriously, all right? So get yourself a separate bank account, get yourself a bookkeeping app like QuickBooks, highly recommend it. And honestly, let's say you have to go out and you want to lease a car. QuickBooks will actually be able to generate income reports for you so that you can use that as proof of income for these people. Now, I don't know about you, but working on Excel by myself, it wasn't doing all of that for me. I was messing it up all the time. So as soon as you can, get yourself a record-keeping app. Again, I highly recommend QuickBooks. So before we finish up this video, I just want to reiterate what it is that we learned just in case you're a little overwhelmed. Trust me, I get it. If you have any questions, definitely comment down below. I am here to help. If I get enough questions, I'll end up just making another video. That way I can really explain everything to you all. But the reason I wanted to break it down is because I do get these questions so often, and you guys always say that you like how it is that I explain things, so hopefully I was able to do that for you. So going back to step number 1, decide on your business structure. That's going to be the biggest way that tells the world how they should view your business. Step number 2, make it official. Register your business name. Not absolutely required, but why not while you're at it, right? Step number 3, request an EIN number if required. Don't forget, it is free, not absolutely required, but it does come in useful occasionally. Also, by the way, I did forget to mention earlier that an EIN number will allow you to open up one of those professional bank accounts if you wanted one of those. All right, they won't take just your social security. You would need the EIN number for that. Step number 4, super important, apply for the licenses and permits that are required in your state. That could be a seller's permit, a sales tax permit. That could be different certificates you need just to even have a business in your home. Here in Texas, they don't care, so I don't have to have that. But your state might require that if you happen to work from home or you're renting out an office. Maybe your state requires a general business permit, meaning just because now you're a business, they want you to have a permit for some reason. They want to just make sure they know who you are. Your state might need that. Again, Texas doesn't require that. They're pretty lax on small businesses, so my state does not require that. And then especially for those of you who sell custom snacks or cakes, look into it. Here in Texas and states like California, again, they're pretty lax on it if you're not selling too much. I would hate for you to be making these amazing treats and then it all goes away because you didn't have a permit. And then last but not least, step number 5, get your finances in order. That is so serious, such a big deal. And even though it's a headache when you first kind of get started, it's going to make your life so much easier, I promise you. It's also going to help you see how well you're doing, okay? I didn't realize the impact that I was making until I really got my finances in order. And then on the other hand, if you haven't been doing so great, it will motivate you, all right? So get to it. Again, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. As I said at the beginning, these will kind of vary depending on your state. These are just the 5 main ones. So if anyone is getting sassy about anything, don't even come at me, okay? I will see you guys next time for that tax video. I highly recommend it because trust me, it is important. And as I said again at the beginning, I have worked so hard for everything that I have and for everything that my business has become. And the last thing that I am going to have anybody do is take my business away from me because I was too lazy or overwhelmed or confused to figure it out, to figure out how to properly run my business. Trust me, it is difficult and confusing sometimes, but I am here to help you through it, all right? We're gonna make your business all it can be. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.